All right, hello everybody. New format, new deck, am I right? Today we're taking a look at Zodiac, pure Zodiac that is, and I'll just be going through my build, what I'm currently playing in it, my sideboard, and while this format is a bit up in the air, I get a feeling we know who's going to be mostly at the top of the table. So let's just get started. All right, for our core Zodiac lineup, we are playing 1 Ratpier, 3 Ramram, 3 Whiptail, and 3 Thoroughblade. So, for those who don't know, the whole purpose of the main deck Zodiacs is to give effects to your extra deck Zodiacs. So, Ratpier is irrelevant because it's limited. Ramram provides targeting trap protection. Whiptail banishes monsters after the battle phase, or after damage calculation, my bad. And Thoroughblade gives your Xyz monsters piercing. So pretty simple stuff, and all of them can be made, of course, using single material Xyz. For our kind of core hand trap lineup, we're playing triple Nib, triple Ash, and then we're playing 1 Pankratops. For our spell lineup, we are playing 1 Barrage because it's limited, 3 Tanky, 3 Book of Moon. Okay, so with Book of Moon, things are a little bit up in the air at the moment. There's the whole thing with the virtual world cards where if you say they activate a Lulu from hand and they have a virtual world card, monster card on the field, and you Book of Moon that monster card, do they still get the effect off? I know in the most recent Duel Extravaganza, they ruled it that if you Book of Moon the target that Lulu had at first, then Lulu doesn't resolve, or any virtual world card doesn't resolve. It doesn't send a card of the other types to the graveyard. However, some people are disputing that. It may change. I don't know where that's gonna lie, so ask your judge honestly first before you commit to that play. So like beforehand, just hit up your local judge when you're doing remote duels or something and say, hey, does this interaction work like this, or are you gonna rule it like this? And then see what they say and then kind of plan accordingly. Otherwise, the nice thing with Book of Moon, of course, is you get to flip down anything that might be used as Synchro or Xyz material, or Link material now too. And I mean, you get to kind of deal with just some problematic cards, like you could just flip down an Eldritch Golden Lord face down and then just not have to deal with that for a little while. So it's a nice card. It's pretty good at 3. And honestly, I've been digging it a lot. We are playing, since everything at the deck is at 3, we're playing 3 Desires. But the draw power doesn't stop there because we're also playing 2 Avarice in the main. No combo here. So with Avarice, there's actually a bit of a play to make Avarice live if you really, really need it in a pinch. But overall, Avarice is just really good. It gives you that super grindy game, and you really do need that as pure Zoo. You don't have the Lich engine to lie back on. You don't have the Dogmatica stuff to kind of pick up the slack in the grind game. You need the Avarices, I find. Or at the very least, if you choose to play a combo. Then 2 Cosmic Cyclone in the main, and finally 1 Monster Reborn. So nothing too out of the ordinary there. I think I gave you my piece on Book of Moon, and that's all you really needed to know. And then for our trap lineup, we're playing 3 Imperm, 3 Strike, and 2 Solemn Judgment. In all honesty, if I had them, I would be most likely playing 2 Ice Dragon's Prison rather than the Solemn Judgments. However, in certain situations, which we'll get into when we talk about some of the extra deck components, Solemn Judgment can just like save you. And you know, if you have a certain card or 2 that your opponent really can't get over, but they could if they had a certain spell or trap card like Droplets or something like that, then Judgment's gonna help you, and assuming they don't discard any traps. So onto the extra deck, things are pretty standard again here. We're playing 2 Borbo. So Borbo, its effect is, of course, all the Zodiac monsters stack themselves onto any other Zodiac card once per turn as single material Xyz summon, basically. And its unique effect is that it can attack directly. This makes it good for going into AA Zeus, because spoiler alert, we play that card here, of course. Additionally, it's just good, it's easy to bring out, and of course, run up against those end of match procedures and you just need that one little poke, so You poke them. Oh, and of course, since these all have question mark for stats, they get the stats of the like Xyz material used to make them. So, like Throwblade would give 1600 attack, and so on and so forth. But you probably knew all that, anyways. Then we have 1 Hammer Kong, 3 Tiger Mortar, triple Chalk 9-2, 1 Dryden because it's limited, 1 Drill Driver, 2 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. So Divine Arsenal AA Zeus is such a lovely little card. I do like it a lot. So of course, for those who don't know, you can Xyz summon this card using a Xyz monster you control after you have battled this turn with an Xyz monster as well. And quick effect, you can detach 2 materials from this card, send, not destroy, not banish, send all other cards from the field to the graveyard, and once per turn, if a card you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can attach 1 card from your hand, deck, or extra deck to this card as material. So this guy is, of course, basically your new win con, because it's so hard to recover from basically a board wipe that's a quick effect, and you could chain 2 certain negations. So let's say you activate this effect. Okay, they tried to Forbidden Chalice or something like that. Okay, you activate it again, assuming you have the materials. And it's just so dumb that it's not once per turn, but at the same time, it's so fun in that regard. Then you can justify playing 1 if it's not in your budget, but again, that makes the Avarices all the more important. And even the one thing I do like about the Avarice is it gets to recycle your Trident, because, you know, you only have 1 of those right now. Onto the Link monsters real quick. We're playing, of course, Megaclops. If a deck doesn't have it out to Megaclops, sometimes you just win. Like, especially if it's not in the mirror, not versus virtual world or something. Like, realistically, like, what is Dino gonna make that, like, deals with Megaclops? Maybe they're teching in the Castell because they really fear it, but at the same time, nothing much is dealing with this. All the Synchro decks, Infernoble can't do jack against this thing, and so on and so forth. And a bunch of Rogue decks, of course, they can't do anything to it either. There is a specific combo I will show off in a bit that does, you know, kind of get you to the Megaclops nice and easy. However, at the same time, too, even in a situation where, say, it is your 5th summon, you really don't have to worry about that Nibiru, because of the fact that, well, you know, it just it's unaffected. You know, every other card you would get gets distributed, but like it wouldn't. And then finally, we have, this is a bit of a controversial pick, 1 Gravity Controller. So Gravity Controller is here for a very specific play. Now, most people are playing Asa, the familiar possessed Link 2 that is basically able to steal Earth monsters from your opponent's graveyard. However, I decided to play Gravity Controller here. So the whole idea with Gravity Controller is, say you didn't open that good, you just drew both your Avarices, or at least 1. What you do is you stack a whole bunch of the Xyz monsters on top of each other in the extra monster zone. And then say, you know, you just, you don't have anything to go into at this time. Okay, you send all of them to the graveyard, you make Controller, and then boom, suddenly your Pot of Avarice goes live, you're able to recycle a ton of stuff, and, you know, it doesn't rely on your opponent destroying your cards or anything like that. It's basically controlling your own graveyard in a certain sense. Additionally, one other cool thing with it is that it cannot be destroyed by a monster, by another monster that's not in the extra monster zone. And if this card battles a monster in the extra monster zone, after damage calculation, you can return both cards to the hand, or to the deck, sorry. So, it's got some very nice utility like that. Like, even think about this, an Avermax can't actually get over this. I learned that the hard way once, but yeah, no, Avermax can't actually get over this. So, it's just good. I like it. Again, I wouldn't slight you if you did just choose to play Asa, but at the same time, that's your call. Anyways, with all that out of the way, let's get on to the side deck. The side deck is probably the thing I am the least confident in, just because of the fact the format is so new. So we are playing Triple Lancia, because Dino is still a thing for some reason. Triple evenly matched, because you want to hit your control matchups, your Guru, your Lich Zoo, your Dogmatica Zoo. 3-Droll and Lockbird, because again, that's also very good against Dino and a few other decks like that. Not so good against Virtual World. Virtual World doesn't really add stuff to hand. They do more of their graveyard shenanigans. So maybe if that becomes a bit more of a problem, certain things will change in here. But then again, it's also good versus random rogue stuff. Like you'll still have that Salamangreat player at locals, especially if you're doing remote dual locals like I am, and so on and so forth. We got the third copy of Judgment and Raigeki and Feather Duster. Realistically, I should probably have Lightning Storms, but at the same time, I am not dropping that much money on Lightning Storms right now. And then 3 Dimension Shifter. So Dimension Shifter is probably the more interesting card here. There is seldom a deck that plays really around Dimension Shifter right now. So, for those who don't know, level 6 Spellcaster. If you have no cards in your graveyard, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard until the end of the next turn. So, next turn, all cards sent to the graveyards are banished instead. So, Dragonlink can't do anything. Dino just sits down and cries and maybe brings out a Giant Rex, and that's about it. And it also blocks their miscellaneous, it also kind of wastes their miscellaneous source on the next turn as well if they need to pitch it because you're doing your shenanigans, of course. And, you know, it's just a very good, easy way to say no. God says no. And one other little savage thing you could do is you can do this. Let's say, for whatever reason, you're up against a deck and you knew Dimension Shifter would work. Okay, 5th summon, Chainlink 1 Nibiru, Chainlink 2 Dimension Shifter. You get to tribute their field and everything gets banished. That is disgusting and amazing, and it's a very impractical little thing. You're probably never gonna see it done too often, but at the same time, ooh lordy, that would be fun to do. Anyways, that's it. That's the deck right now. Nothing too spicy, I would say. Honestly, again, the format needs to get defined a little bit better to justify cutting certain things or adding certain things, and especially with the whole issue regarding the side deck, I would say it just needs a little more defining. But overall, that is my build. I hope you appreciate it. It's a pretty, you know, it's a simple deck to start playing because, you know, it has a fairly cutthroat game plan. You know, you want to grind your opponent out, you want to make Dryden, you want to make Zeus, you want to just like control the tempo of the entire game, and then you want to kind of just poke, smack. However, the thing is, you have to be very knowledgeable, especially if you're up against people that are actually smart and playing meta decks. You have to be knowledgeable about like, what's the optimal way to do this? What's the optimal way to do that? For example, like, we're going to get into it in the replays more, but you have to be wary of just random stuff. And for example, yeah. Anyways, from here, we're going to move on to our replays. Thank you so much for watching so far. If you did like this deck profile so far, please give it a like, a thumbs up, and leave a comment below. What would you change? What would you think is a little different? And don't forget to subscribe if you like this content. So now let's get on to our replays. So to start this replay off, I unfortunately opened no hand traps, and my opponent has full virtual world combo in order to set up a very friendly dragon against me. However, that's not too bad. This deck deals with that a-okay. So he's just gonna do his thing, and then I'm gonna do my thing. So let's just wait for that. Oh, and here we are. So I do that whole gravity controller setup that I was just talking about previously. However, I don't just do it just to try and draw, which unfortunately he does Ash. I also do it that way I have gravity controller there. That way he has to deal with it in some way or or form. And whether that's forcing a Chuchi pop or etc, it's just an obstacle he has to get ahead of. Unfortunately, it seems this guy's not very good at reading, so he doesn't read gravity controller and just slams into it a whole bunch while leaving my Dryden completely fine. I guess one other thing to note is that Dryden is kind of your best friend in this matchup because you get to micromanage what they do and don't have on the field, and that just gives them a horrible, horrible time when it comes to using their in-hand effects of things like Lulu. My opponent then makes a 1-material Zeus that I think he's hoping to use its other effect in order to gain the extra material he needs in order to get the board wipe effect. However, I shut that down using Book of Moon. In addition, I'm able to, using Thoroughblade, top deck a Pot of Desires and go from Pot of Desires into another Desires but also an Avarice. True combo, baby. I then use my Tide Mortar here in order to get my Dryden and another Xyz material, but I also decide to keep my Thoroughblade on it and then attach Whiptail onto my Hammer Kong now in order to banish his level 9 Virtual World Synchro. I just don't want it to do any more graveyard shenanigans, and while it was a tough choice between that and the Zeus, I felt like the Synchro would just give him a grindier option against me. And hey, I have a Solemn Strike here waiting for a Zeus. And also, of course, I make my own Zeus using the Hammer Kong, and I have at least two board wipes with it, which is perfect. Okay, so misplay when I summon this Whiptail and go into Tide Mortar, then Chalkonine. What I should have done was the opposite, go Chalkonine, revive Dryden, Tide Mortar, attach a material to Dryden. That was my bad, I just don't think I was thinking that through. And here I admittedly overextend, however, I have Mega Clops, so I don't care about no Nibiru. And this guy is completely out of gas too. He has barely anything left. I know I have this, and you know, that was a stupid move to overextend like that. But oh well, sometimes you got a style on them. Anyways, thank you so much again for watching. Please, I implore you, if you liked what you saw, please subscribe, like, leave a comment if you want. Tell me anything you would change. Tell me what you would have done differently in my replays, etc. But also, please check out my Twitch channel where I stream nearly daily from Monday to Friday. And I've been playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We do viewer battles, we do doubles, we do just a whole bunch of fun, crazy, wacky things like that. So thank you once again for your support, and I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.